It's time for On Target Radio, Chicagoland's only radio show dedicated to educating, entertaining, and discussion of firearms, legislation, and your Second Amendment rights. Presented in part by the Illinois State Rifle Association, Illinois Gun Works, Safer USA, and Chuck's Gun Shop. Here's your host, firearm instructor, educator, and enthusiastic Second Amendment proponent, David Lombardo.
Welcome to On Target Radio, America's voice for the Second Amendment. I'm David Lombardo and my co-host, Tim Dalan, across the council. Say hi, Tim.
Hi, I am here.
You are indeed here, and you're neck deep in all sorts of electronic issues with video. You and T1 and T2 are teeing around.
Yeah, we're technologically challenged tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to have to change it from T1 to T2 to, I don't know, X1 and X2. I'm not sure. So if you're out there trying to watch us and we're not showing up, I don't know. We're working on it. But anyway, Tim and I will be here every Sunday night, 9 to 10 p.m., talking about all things Second Amendment. And you, the listener, have the opportunity to call in and talk to our guests. And for the 16th week in a row, we'd like to invite Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel to come on and discuss gun control. More now than ever, I would think.
I would think so. The Raminator.
Absolutely. Tonight we're going to do a 2012 retrospective and a 2013 prognostication. Do you know those words, Tim?
No, the retrospective, I've heard that somewhere before. The prog.
Hang in there, Furface.
Yeah.
We will cover it.
Yeah, the prog thing.
We'll
Yeah, I'm not sure on that.
Okay. And we'll take your questions or comments at 312-642-5600. 312-642-5600. 5600, or go to Facebook, like our page on Target Radio, and ask a question there. But first, it's my rant of the week, Tim.
I'm wait for it.
I'm sure you are. Is it just me, or does anybody else notice that the anti-Second Amendment contingent no longer even attempts to use facts to support their cause? In the old days of gun control, the anti-Second Amendment cabal took facts and distorted the meaning by putting them through a liberal translator system, and voila, out came half-truths laced with nonsense that sounded convincing. Unfortunately for them, it only sounded convincing to other anti-Second Amendment cabal members and a press that was in the bag for Clinton. Having thus failed in convincing anyone with an open mind and an IQ greater than an eggplant, the anti-Second Amendment cabal began manufacturing its own statistics. They were simply lies dressed up as statistics to sound very authoritative. Humorously, they were refuted by even the Clinton Justice Department annual crime report statistics, which itself could hardly be classified as Second Amendment friendly. Oddly, none of them seem embarrassed by the fact that their made-up statistics were debunked by the hard fact of Clinton's own Justice Department. Having once again failed to convince anyone with an open mind and an IQ greater than an eggplant, the anti-Second Amendment cabal has set about to sully the reputation of anyone who is pro-Second Amendment in the hope that it will discredit the person's position. The most recent example being CNN's Piers Morgan's diatribe against Larry Pratt of Gun Owners of America. Pratt's single mistake was taking the high road and trying to be a gentleman, providing factual information in the face of the British prig's rants, such as, "You're a very stupid man, aren't you?" Admittedly, Pratt was in a no-win situation. He mistakenly assumed he was going to be interviewed by a professional. Morgan, of course, is far from professional. He was practically tarred and feathered in the UK for his involvement in a scandal relating to hacking into celebrity cell phones. While the Brits won't stand for that kind of unprofessional behavior, CNN pays a small fortune in salary for it. I suspect Morgan chose to interview Pratt simply because he knew the man is a gentleman. Morgan's tactic is to intimidate and shout down any voice of reason with ad hominem attacks on the gentleman-type guys are easy targets. He obviously learned to be more careful in his choice of guests after his 2011 interview with Ted Nugent. Anybody who knows the Nuge knows how that interview went. He took Morgan to the woodshed. CNN, its biased journalists, and other liberal anti-Second Amendment hacks love to discredit people with slander in lieu of facts. However, their favorite target, the National Rifle Association, is singled out as the Antichrist. To wit, Code Pink displaying a banner saying, "NRA is killing our kids." Here's a newsflash. The NRA is the most powerful lobby in Washington simply because it has the support of millions of law-abiding citizens. The NRA would have withered on the vine like the ridiculous liberal Air America radio show if it weren't for its members. Those members are swelling in number. They're getting very tired of this government's disregard for the truth, its unaccountable czars, and its anti-American political bent. But unlike spineless anti-Second Amendment liberals who don't have the guts to personally stand up and be counted, the gun owners of America will, both metaphorically and physically. Anyone who would consider any gun confiscation scheme would do well to heed the words of Charlton Heston, one of the great Second Amendment supporters in recent history. Responding to Al Gore's invective about firearms and the need for national confiscation, Heston raised a Revolutionary War musket and said, "From my cold, dead hands." And that, Tim, is my rant for the week.
It was a good one.
Well,
I don't know if I like it better than the last one or not. That one was a pretty good one, too.
I don't know.
I think you should get angry and get a little spit flying, though.
Yeah. Well, anyway, tonight we'll have a chance to get angry because tonight we are going to be talking with Richard Pearson, the executive director of the Illinois State Rifle Association, and Doug Mayhall, the first vice president of the ISRA. And we're going to take a look at 2012 and what happened and sort of prognosticate about the future. Gentlemen, thank you for coming in.
Glad to be here.
I'm glad to be here, too. Thanks.
Long ride for both of you, particularly Richard. You come from, like, Guam or something.
I came from Guam, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you live, like, I don't think...
The first 6,000 miles was the toughest part of the swim.
We got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. It's clearly not enough time, but let's start with the first thing that I think everybody wants to know, and that is the Shepard case, Shepard v. Madigan. Is Madigan going to push for an en banc from the Seventh Circuit? Is she going to try and get the whole court to rule on this?
Well, there's various schools of thought on this. One of them is that if you go en banc, and which means that every justice reviews this case and they all get together and vote on it, basically, and our side loses, then we are happy because we're on the way to the Supreme Court. And we're back in the game. If you lose at the Supreme Court level, that means that all the May issue states like New Jersey, New York, Delaware, all those kinds of awful places, are done. The May issue is gone. And so a lot of the stuff they've been doing to gun owners for years is unconstitutional. And this can be extrapolated much further than that. So it's a chance for them if they do that. If they do that, we're back in play in the court system and we're ready to go. If they don't do that, we're back in play, or we're in play with concealed carry in Illinois, and we're ready to go. It doesn't matter. We're ready.
So one way or the other, something's going to happen.
Something's going to happen, right. Of course, the problem with any court is that you can never exactly figure out what they're going to do. The Supreme Court, just because it's the Supreme Court, has had some terrible decisions over the years and some good decisions over the years, but you never know what you're going to get. It's kind of like Mr. Gump said, life's a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Exactly. You're listening to AM 560 WIND. We're taking calls on 312-642-5600. We're talking about things that have happened in 2012. Have you noticed, I guess the thing that irritates me is Rahm Emanuel and the governor and all these people, whenever a decision made by the court, appellate court or any court, is in their favor, then they're the most brilliant jurists on the planet. And now they're ranting about these guys, saying that these are incompetent idiots.
Well, yeah, they actually incompetent idiots are actually guys like the mayor. That's really who the incompetent idiot is. But so let's get that off the table right now. I don't much care for these people, and their logic escapes almost everyone, including any cricket that I ever met. But anyway, going back to the Shepard case, if you think about this, I want you to go back and we think about 2012, which is what we're supposed to be doing. We started out the year at the legislature, and we had the Shepard case was in play, and the Moore case was in play, and so we have been waiting and watching, and we made the legislature an offer that they should have not refused, but did. We offered them House Bill 148, which is a Brandon Phelps bill, and it dealt with training. It was a fee that we all felt was a little on the high side. We were trying to get the state to buy it. It's to pass concealed carry. It dealt with training and recertification, all the things that that needed to be dealt with, and we negotiated that bill for years. I mean, for years. We worked with college groups. Anybody that wanted to come to the table, we listened. We took into consideration what they said. We didn't take everything that they said and put it in the bill because some of it was just totally unacceptable. So we did that. We worked very, very hard, and we brought it to a vote. And we got 65 votes, but because Speaker Madigan ruled that it was a home rule issue, it required a supermajority, which is 60 votes, which in the House is 71, and in the Senate is 36 votes. So all that came and went. That was the deal on the table.
And actually, we did make concessions, and they should have taken it. You're listening to AM 560 WIND. This is On Target Radio, and we'll be back after these messages.
Attention firearm owners or those considering exercising your Second Amendment rights. I want to tell you about Illinois Gun Works. From void services and new firearm purchases to gunsmith services and an indoor shooting range, Don and his staff will assist you without attitude or pressure. Need training? Illinois Gun Works' popular Illinois Responsible Firearm Owners class teaches you the regulations to legally defend yourself, own, and transport your firearm. There's a required class for a Chicago firearm permit and popular new shooter familiarization class, including one for women. Now, I took this class and urge you to reserve your spot fast for this fun class. Illinois Gun Works offers a wide selection of training and certification classes, from security work to those just considering ownership, even special group classes. Illinois Gun Works, Chicagoland's full-service firearm headquarters, is located on Grand Avenue, just a block west of Harlem in Elmwood Park. Call 708-452-0040 or visit IllinoisGunWorks.com. That's 708-452-0040.
You're listening to On Target on AM 560 WIND with David Lombardo. Here's David with more interesting conversation on firearms, safety, your Second Amendment rights, and much more. To participate, call the studio at 312-642-5600.
And we're back with more On Target Radio. This segment is brought to you by Gotcha Outdoors. Tim and I would like you to join us at the Gotcha Outdoors Adventure Sports Show, Saturday and Sunday, January 5th and 6th in Kankakee. There'll be thousands of dollars in prizes and great kids' activities such as archery and shooting slingshots with world record holder and slingshot expert Chief A.J. You won't want to miss the Reptile Rampage, seeing a live deer, or visiting the huge exhibitor hall with over 70 vendors. There's also lots of informative seminars and great food. Special guests include Spiritual Outdoor Adventures TV host Jimmy Seitz and the Takedown Outdoors pro staff. Best of all, it's affordable family entertainment with adult admission only $5, seniors $4, kids 7 through 16 for $3, and under 6 get in free. Be sure to join the On Target radio team at the Gotcha Outdoor Adventure Sports Show Saturday and Sunday, January 5th and 6th at the Kankakee First Church in Kankakee. For further information, visit gotchaoutdoors.com. or call 815-933-1000. That's 815-933-1000. We'll see you there, right, Tim?
Yes, we will. I'm looking forward to it. We've been there the last couple of years. It's always a great time. Good show.
We're going to have fun, and we would love to talk to people and get your ideas for shows that you might like us to do, or share, as Tim keeps saying, Christmas goodies with us. We are talking this evening to Richard Pearson from the Illinois State Rifle Association and Doug Mayhall, and we are talking about what has happened in 2012. And when we left last time, we were actually talking about the Shepard case, Shepard v. Madigan, and how that will affect concealed carry, not just statewide, but could potentially have an effect nationally.
Exactly. You know, we left off with our offer on the table of House Bill 148, which said, of course, that you have to take all this training and so forth and so on. It was more than we wanted to give, but we thought we might be able to get it through, and it was turned down. Okay,
but narrowly.
Yeah. But it takes 71 votes in the House. We had 65, so we were 6 votes short. We know 3 jumped off. We know who they are at the last, so we actually had 68 votes at one point. But anyway, but now comes the Shepard case and the Moore case, and comes the ruling. Now, that nice offer we offered the state of Illinois is no longer on the table. The bill still exists, at least for a few more days. But now, we don't see any reason why we need a state police trainer. We think an NRA certified trainer will do fine. we don't see that we need as much expense and as much fee. We think we can lower that. So what the state had was a good deal, and what the state is going to get is not going to be such a good deal. And we're going to fight tooth and nail to get a shall issue bill. A lot of people worry about a may issue bill. They say, well, Chicago can get may issue and the rest of us can have shall issue. The court didn't say that. The court said you have to pass a bill. And so they didn't cut Chicago out. They didn't cut the Cook County out. They didn't cut anybody out. They said this is it. In fact, they used Chicago as an example of why you should have concealed carry.
But they didn't cut it out. The appellate court didn't.
They did not. No, they did. They said you're all in this together.
Could not the state do that, though?
Could the state do that?
Right.
They would. I would say they would get a court challenge from us if they did. But I think it's a waste of time. But this is the state of Illinois. We do a lot of stuff that's a waste of time.
Exactly.
In fact, almost everything we do is a waste of time. But come to think of it,
Mike on Facebook wants to know: do you think that there's any possibility that concealed carry will happen during the lame duck session?
No. Too many lame ducks.
See, what I heard is that a lot of those, well, some number of those lame ducks are saying, I don't have to worry anymore. I basically believe in it anyway, and they'd vote for it.
If you have enough, one of the things in lame duck session is we have a lot of people. This is the 10-year redoing of the state. So we have a lot of people out there who aren't going to be back and who aren't going to come to session either. The problem you have is that if you don't have all your people there, you can't get the job done.
There's nothing going to happen.
Nothing going to happen. So, you have a physical problem is you simply can't round up enough votes. Even if you could round up enough votes, they're not all there.
Yeah. Glenn, our old friend Glenn Nixon is asking, will Representative Brandon Phelps' earlier bill be resubmitted early in the next session with the interstate reciprocity? And are the wheels in motion with the next freshman?
The answer is we're looking at reciprocity with other states, of course, and but that's one of the things that we'll be working on in the next 3 weeks. See, what's going to happen is we're going to go through what I call the chicken dance. The chicken dance is we have the inauguration, and we dance around for a couple of days, and then we go home for 3 weeks or 4, almost a little more than 3 weeks. So in that time is when all this work's got to get done. So we'll be working hard on that. But the first few days of session is the chicken dance. For one thing, all the new legislators are moved in their office. All the offices are moved. You can't even find them. They can't find themselves. They don't know where they are. We don't know where they are. We have to physically track them down. The first few days, we physically track down where they are. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to stay there, but for the most part, they do. See, one of the things that happens is you have some terrible offices down there. We have the Stratton Building, which was built in 1957, and it's glass, and it's hot in the summer and cold in the winter, and it's just not a really great building. It should be a parking lot, actually. But anyway, so we have to do that. And do we need to go to break? Need to go to break?
I need to put in a reset. You're listening to AM 560 WIND. This is On Target Radio. We're talking this evening about what's happened in 2012 and what we think will be happening in 2013. We do have a question from, this is from Dean, and Dean wants to know, how will the current national gun control debate impact the possibility of our concealed carry?
Well, it doesn't help it any, that's for sure. But that's what we're there for, is to overcome that. The national gun control debate doesn't exactly have anything to do with concealed carry, but for sure the antis will try to link the two. It's trying to like linking lemonade and asphalt together. They don't have anything to do with each other, but they're going to try to make the link.
Well, Randy, again, on Facebook, Randy said, do citizens really have a voice in new gun control laws that are going to be presented, or is this going to be something that will just be forced on us without our say? And reminds us that the ban presented from Feinstein in 94 was passed and was an obvious infringement of the Second Amendment right. Is there anything we can do?
Well, first of all, it didn't look like they were it was going to pass. And one of our Illinois representatives, Bob Michael, sold out for his name on the bridge and took 11 votes with him.
On Feinstein?
On the 1994.
Oh, in 94.
94.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say.
All right. So you always have to watch that. So people really need to really be talking to the representatives.
Keep the pressure on.
And, there's email, there's letters, there's phone calls, and there's also town hall meetings, and that sort of thing. And you need to get to their local offices, and you need to be there talking to their people on the ground, because the word will go back that people are not happy out here, Now, with the ideologues like Schakowsky and those kind of people, they don't care.
It's not going to happen.
They don't care. The more miserable they can make the population, the happier they are. That's why they got themselves elected.
I think it's important to realize that it is very important to talk to your local state rep and your local state senator. Both my rep and senator have told me they are amazed at how few phone calls and emails they get on so many items. Pardon?
Truly,
yes. And if they get 50 or 100 emails or calls, that's an awful lot. So if we have on a gun issue, if we have everybody write and call them, it really makes them take notice on it.
And they have thousands of constituents.
Right. One of the things you have to remember, though, is right now we don't know what their phone numbers are.
Big shuffle.
Big
There's
shuffle.
a big shuffle. That's right.
That's right. We don't know.
That's true.
We don't know where they are.
And considering it's basically controlled by the Democrats, it may be a while before we know who it is.
Well, it's simply the physical mess that happens.
Yeah, it's musical chairs. Everybody stands up, changes places.
One of the things in one of the offices that we often meet in, it's got a kind of a little meeting area there, kind of a big vestibule, and the phone men are in there with 1 million wires, taking them apart.
And that is going to take us to a break. You're listening to On Target Radio. We'll be right back.
Chuck's Gun Shop proudly serves Riverdale and the surrounding communities. Conveniently located near the 142nd Street exit of the Bishop Ford Expressway, Chuck's Gun Shop is staffed by friendly, skilled professionals who will help guide a first-time shooter and assist you in obtaining a State of Illinois firearm owner's identification card. Chuck offers a full line of new handguns, rifles, shotguns, knives, and accessories. Chuck's also buys, sells, and trades used firearms and has a gunsmith on location that will provide expert care for your favorite firearm. Chuck's features a 6-lane indoor shooting range. Bring your own firearm or rent one from their wide assortment. If you live in Chicago, Chuck's Gun Shop offers the required Chicago firearms permit course. Chuck's Gun Shop is open Monday through Saturday and located at 14310 Indiana Avenue in Riverdale. Visit their website, chucksgunshop.net, or call 708-849-4455. That's 708-849-4455. Chuck's Gun Shop, serving Riverdale and surrounding communities.
Hi, I'm David Lombardo, host of On Target Radio. You're living proof that radio advertising reaches listeners. In the 2 years I've been advertising on AM 560 WIND, Safer USA grew from 300 students a year to over 1,200. By coupling our On Target Radio broadcast with our Facebook page, we found our audience is steadily growing, and in only 2 months it appears we've exceeded 5,000 listeners. Over 34% are in the age group 25 to 34, 26% are 35 to 44. We have listeners from Rockford to Western Michigan and Southern Wisconsin to St. Louis. Thanks to live streaming on the internet, we also have listeners as far away as Germany, Japan, and New Zealand. On Target Radio is offering low-cost sponsorship opportunities on Chicago's premier conservative talk radio station. Advertising on AM 560 WIND has worked for Safer USA. Let me show you how it can work for you. Call 815-744-5487. Join the On Target Radio team today at 815-744-5487.
You're listening to On Target on AM 560 WIND with David Lombardo. Here's David with more interesting conversation on firearms, safety, your Second Amendment rights, and much more.
And we're back with more On Target Radio. And now, that magic moment, Tim's Fighting Back segment.
Brought to you by the Illinois State Rifle Association. I have to start off by saying that this week's Fighting Back sounds a little repetitive. This story is a lot like last week's that occurred in Shreveport, Louisiana, with the same happy ending. 2 bad guys, 1 good guy, 1 bad guy dies, the good guy wins. A robbery turned deadly in southeast Atlanta with 1 man dead and another in jail after Atlanta police say they these two attempted to rob someone on Christmas Eve. The attempted robbery happened about 10:30 p.m., according to the police. The two suspects were trying to rob a man when the would-be victim fought back, pulling out a gun and shooting one of them. The non-injured 21-year-old suspect then drove the accomplice to the hospital where the man was pronounced dead. The non-injured suspect, whose prior arrests included child battery, robbery, and cruelty to children, was then arrested and charged with felony murder and aggravated assault. He is being held without bond in the Fulton County Jail. Police did not charge the robbery victim. This has been Fighting Back, brought to you by the Illinois State Rifle Association.
And now, a special guest, Doug Mayhall, is going to read the ISRA, your own ISRA commercial.
The nation has supported the rights and freedoms of Illinois citizens to keep and bear arms. For over 100 years, the ISRA has supported the use of firearms as a sport for personal protection and as a fundamental aspect of national defense. For over 100 years, Illinois State Rifle Association has been supporting you. Don't you think it's time you supported them? It's isra.org or 815-635-3198. That's 815-635-3198. The Illinois State Rifle Association, supporting you.
Now,
that's a heck of a job.
Technically, wouldn't it be, when he's reading the commercial, wouldn't it be supporting us, not supporting them?
Let's go to the phones. And we have Nick on the line. Nick, how are you doing tonight?
Good evening, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing good. We only got about a minute here, so let her rip, Nick.
I'll make it fast for you. You know, last week I was on air and I was talking about my ballistic combat camp, which does all the training for hand-to-hand and edge weapons, everything non-firearm related, but just very particular to self-defense. And I've always gotten a lot of support from the ISRA, Mr. Mayhall included. So I want to do something back. For ISRA members only, I'm actually reducing and discounting my ballistic combat camp price from $500 down to $350. So there's $150 savings right off the bat just for being an ISRA member.
Now, Richard just gave a little smile. He gave his sort of little corner of the lip smile. So that's a good thing.
It is. It is. You know, it shows the value of your ISRA membership.
There you go.
You pay us $25, you get $150 off. What a deal!
That's a deal. How do they find it, Nick?
All you got to do is contact me through my website, which is www.streetsafe101.com.
Okay. Well, hey, Nick, thanks for calling in.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Happy New Year to all you guys.
You
Thanks,
too.
Nick.
Same to you, Nick.
Thanks.
Yep. You know, I have to say I liked.
And we have
I like Tim's story.
We have Will. I like Tim's story. But
Yeah,
we have Will.
it shows there's a Santa Claus.
Hey, guys.
Will from Arlington Heights. Go ahead, Will.
Hey, I keep hearing the same two things over and over again, even on the same radio station from Steve Cochran when he was on with Senator Durbin last week, that AR-15 is an assault weapon. And the second thing I keep hearing is that it is not a good platform for self-defense. As a group, how do we prevent these misnomers or mischaracterizations from being perpetuated throughout the media? It's making me nuts. I heard Feinstein earlier tonight on NPR spout the same thing. It's completely inaccurate. What do we do about it?
Thanks for the call, Will.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you have to correct them every time. But somehow this assault weapon thing got loose back up in the mid '80s, and we've been combating it ever since. And I expect that we're going to have to continue to combat that. You'll notice now they say assault style weapons,
Right.
which means that your
Mini Ruger.
Your new Ruger or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or if you had a race car, you could say that your Hyundai, you put a couple STB stickers on it, and it's a NASCAR thing. It's just style. It's just cosmetics. It's not really there. The other thing is you have to remember though when you do this, is they're talking about semi-automatic, and if you look at the history of gun control in Illinois, which is a bellwether for the country. In the Wilson versus Cook County case, you see that they included all semi-automatic shotguns, 1100s, X1 Winchesters, the whole bit, as an assault weapon. They're trying to lump anything semi-automatic. That's where they're going with this. So the next thing will be how to do that.
Well, we only have about 20 seconds, but Feinstein's proposed bill, from what I've read, essentially is going to eliminate anything that's semi-automatic.
Exactly. And so
it says it's going to pale in comparison.
Right.
The 94 bill is going to pale in comparison.
Well, the gun owners of this country need to get together and stay together. But the other part about it was it's not a good self-defense weapon. It is a perfect self-defense weapon if you have ballistic tips.
It does. And we're going to be back after these messages. We're going to take a look at 2013, and we're going to get Richard's prognostication on where it's going to go. That and more on Target Radio, AM 560 WIND.
For 35 years, Pelcher's Shooter's Supply has served the Lansing area. Pelcher's offers new and used firearms sales, appraisals, and gunsmithing service. Pelcher's new spacious showroom has hundreds of major brand firearms and supplies, and PelcherGuns.com features daily specials. Pelcher's Shooter Supply on the corner of Ridge Road and Henry Street in downtown Lansing. Online at PelcherGuns.com or call 708-474-0662.
You're listening to On Target Radio on AM 560 WIND with David Lombardo. Here's David with more interesting conversation on firearms, safety, your Second Amendment rights, and much more. To participate, call the studio at 312-642-5600.
We're back with more on Target Radio. Call us in at 312-642-5600 or go to our Facebook page, On Target Radio. Ask a question and we'll answer it. And while you're there, please like us and recommend us to your friends. We're talking with Richard Pearson and Doug Mayhall from the Illinois State Rifle Association tonight, and we're going to look now, looking forward into 2013. One of the things that I want to bring up, because we don't have a lot of time in this segment, but Wayne LaPierre had a press conference, and with all of the weeping and gnashing of teeth that the liberals do about guns are terrible and we have to get rid of them all, he actually came up with what I thought was a really intelligent comment, and that was we should have armed guards in schools. And actually, it was proposed initially by Clinton, and to this day, right here in our area, we do. What's your take on that? Everybody on the anti-gun side is arguing that that's an insane idea.
Well, this happened with Clinton in April of 2000 that he proposed this.
Exactly.
He had a lot of people, schools, my grandson's school still has an armed guard there. And when he proposed it was a great idea. When LaPierre proposed it, it's a terrible idea. It's very hypocritical. Just like Emmanuel, his school, he has armed guards for his kids. He has armed guards for himself, just as the president does. So is Emmanuel and Obama, are they more special than we are? Are their kids more special than our kids?
The answer is yes.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay,
so.
just so you know that.
Yeah.
So you might as well know where you stand. But early on, when I taught school, we had an armed guard in the school, and the guard and a police officer, but he was armed. And when things happened in the school, he took care of it, and it was right there. The only place you can stop an attack is at the point of attack. You can't discuss it. You can't talk about it at tea. You have to deal with it immediately, and you have 15 seconds or less to do it. So all the baloney that the liberals say, well, the police will come and all that kind of stuff, the police come in time to chalk the line. That's what happens.
Exactly.
The
interesting thing is that there is I don't know if groundswell is the best choice of words, but there certainly is a tide that is rising of school districts who are saying if teachers want to be armed, then we should be doing it. There is a school district in Texas where they just flat out say we're too far away from the sheriff's department to begin with, and they're just letting teachers bring in firearms. And several states are looking at that.
Utah is doing that a lot.
Right. In fact, in Utah, you could carry. You still can and have for many years been able to carry a concealed firearm into a school in Utah.
Right. I think they just had something like 600 teachers attend seminars last weekend.
In Utah? Oh, that's right. Yeah, they did.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. They, I think they said they had to turn away half the people that showed up. They only had openings for 600 people, and they had to turn away another 600 because they couldn't fit them in.
So, that's something that I've considered doing. Talking about that. But I have had calls from teachers and husbands of teachers who are calling on their behalf because they were in school and wanting to get firearm training. And so I have referred some of them out, some to you actually. But
you're so good, Richard.
Anyway,
that would be saferusa.com.
Yeah,
shamelessly interjecting that.
But when this breaks, there's going to be every trainer in the state needs to be ready, because I think this is going to happen. And I think it's going to happen to a greater extent than a lesser extent. And so one of our trainers, Larry Morris, is working on a syllabus. He's looking at the stuff that they've done out there and that sort of thing for training teachers and that sort of thing. And it will just be an entry level. Remember, all this stuff is going to be entry level. You're going to have to go up the line to get more stuff.
You're listening to AM 560 WIND. This is On Target Radio. Richard, 2013. We got about 2 minutes. What's going to happen?
2013. Well, 2013, we're going to see a bunch of bills dumped in the legislature, and they'll probably all be in there by most of them will be in there. They won't all be in there. They're never all in there. By mid-February. Now, on the 6th, it will be very important, and we'll be doing things with these bills. We'll be finding out. We'll be opposing some, supporting others, blah, blah, blah. But on the 6th, we have iGold, and it's very, very important that people show up for iGold this year. This year we're really in the thick of it. If you don't show up this year, then you're probably going to miss the battle. So I need everybody that can walk, crawl, get a bus, take a train, whatever, to come to iGold this year, because we have to have a big representation this year.
You need an MC for your program?
We might.
We can arrange it.
Okay. So
Glenn Nixon just sent something in via Facebook, and he said, is ISRA considering utilizing gun owners to speak face-to-face in discussion with legislators alongside with your lobbyists during the next session?
The answer is we do that during Lobby Day. Okay, that's what we do. We bring them down, and we have them speak to the legislators. You've got some rules about lobbying that you can get in trouble if you're speaking to people who are not your legislators. I'm not sure it's not an infringement on free speech, and I'm not willing to argue all that today, but the fact is that you do have some problems. The other thing is you have to know where the legislators are, and when they're going to be there. They're busy people.
iGold is a great day. Everybody really needs to come. It's March 6th this year. It's a great effort.
And it's so nice that the governor's going to give his budget address. It should be a short one since we don't have any money.
Exactly. But please come down. It's going to be great. Look on the ISRA's website, isra.org, and there'll be lots of information about it.
We really, really need you this year. One of the things that people say, well, I came last year. Why do I have to come this year? Because you have new faces this year. This is the first time probably about 40% of the legislature will ever see us. The first time they'll see us. So this year is the year.
This is the year we need to do it for iGold. So
we'll be there.
We're going to be back in just a few minutes. You're listening to On Target Radio, AM 560, WIND. Hi, I'm David Lombardo, host of On Target Radio. You're living proof that radio advertising reaches listeners. In the 2 years I've been advertising on AM 560 WIND, Safer USA grew from 300 students a year to over 1,200. By coupling our On Target Radio broadcast with our Facebook page, we found our audience is steadily growing, and in only 2 months it appears we've exceeded 5,000 listeners. Over 34% are in the age group 25 to 34, 26% are 35 to 44. We have listeners from Rockford to Western Michigan and Southern Wisconsin to St. Louis. Thanks to live streaming on the internet, we also have listeners as far away as Germany, Japan, and New Zealand. On Target Radio is offering low-cost sponsorship opportunities on Chicago's premier conservative talk radio station. Advertising on AM 560 WIND has worked for Safer USA. Let me show you how it can work for you. Call 815-744-5487. Join the On Target Radio team today at 815-744-5487. 5487.
You're listening to On Target on AM 560 WIND with David Lombardo. Here's David with more interesting conversation on firearms, safety, your Second Amendment rights, and much more.
And we're back with more On Target Radio. We are talking to Richard Pearson, Executive Director of the Illinois State Rifle Association, and Doug Mayhall, the first Vice President of the ISRA. Richard, in addition to being executive director, you are a lobbyist for the ISRA in Springfield, right?
That's correct. One of the things that actually helps us a lot down there, people want to know what they can do. For the most part, though, they can keep the calls coming in, and they need to talk to the legislator's local office and also their Springfield office. Those people actually do tabulate those calls, and they do give them to them. That's one of the important jobs they do. do not get involved with yelling at the person taking the call.
Sure, it's just a secretary.
They're a secretary. They have no skin in the game except that they've got to take the next call and get as many to them. So if you tell them that their legislator's a stupid guy or a stupid woman or something like that, it doesn't help you at all. Just tell them that you're opposed to this and that you'll work very hard to oppose this and you have many friends who are opposed to it and blah, blah, blah. And let it go at that. And but we got to keep making those calls. It's very, very important. And if you make a call to someone that's not your legislator, I know you get unhappy and you want to do that, but it doesn't help very much unless you're a committee member.
Basically, they're just listening to their own.
That's right. They want their constituents to call them.
If you can't vote for them,
right,
that's politics.
Right. The other thing is that they simply have to deal with the physical number of calls they get. And so that's some of the things that you have to realize that it's just you have logistic problems. You just can't do it all. But they will listen to their own people. There are some legislators, particularly northeast of here or east of here, that don't care who calls them, but call them anyway. Don't ever give up on that because they still feel the heat. One of the things that my favorite saying is that many legislators never see the light till they feel the heat.
So, bottom line, you got about a minute. Are we going to get concealed carry?
We're going to get some form of it. It's going to come late. You watch. We got 180 days. That's about mid-May from when they did that. We'll see what happens. I mean, there's a million things that can happen between now and then. And so one of the reasons that we're down there all the time is that things change. And people get, they got to kind of trust us a little bit. One bill, the Safe Neighborhoods Act, we changed our position 4 times in one day on that bill. Okay, and because there's so much happening, a word here, a word there changes the entire meeting. So that's why you have lobbyists down there. We have 4. We have Todd Vandermine's one of the best lobbyists anywhere down there, and so we're all working very hard on this. And it takes that many, that 4 of us or 5 of us to cover it. Sometimes it just does.
And remember, folks, ISRA is footing the bill for this. You have how many lobbyists?
4.
4 lobbyists. So it is your $25 annual dues that are paying for that. We'd like to thank our guests this evening, Richard Pearson and Doug Mayhall. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on. Tim Montague, pulling his hair out in the corner, is our technical consultant. Vicky's off tonight. It's Robin is our call screener, and George Hoffman on the board. We would like to thank our sponsors, Illinois Gun Works, Chuck's Gun Shop, Pelcher Shooter's Supply, Illinois State Rifle Association, our website developer 31 Moons, Gotcha Outdoors, and, of course, Safer USA. Next week, we're going to be talking about shotgun sports. Tim, that should be right up your alley.
Oh, no, that'll be a good time. I'm waiting for that.
It'll be fun. Pat and Nancy Donaldson, who run Shotgun Sports for the Aurora Sportsman's Club, and Wayne Schlehoff, who is with the Blackhawk Sportsman's Club, will be talking about that. Until then, be sure to friend On Target Radio on Facebook. And thanks for listening. And say good night, Tim.
Good night, Tim. We'll see you next week.
And should we just put in one more plug for Gotcha Outdoors?
One more plug. Come down to Gotcha. It's a great time. It really is. You would never believe that a show this great would be sort of out south a little bit for everybody.
So
it's a great place.
But it'll be fun.
The 5th and 6th of January.
Oh, okay.
So we hope you'll be back.
When is it?
We hope you'll be back next Sunday at 9 p.m. for more On Target Radio. And thanks, Mike, for making it all possible.